Hi guys, and welcome to part 1 of our onion grow along. So today I'm going to get my onion seeds in. I'm going to do partly in my setup with my domes, and then I'm also going to do some in soil blocks. These are going to go onto a heat mat until they're up, and then they'll come outside in the polytunnel. There's different ideas of whether or not you need heat to start them. We're having a bit of a cold spell at the moment. It's mid-January currently, so I'm just going to start them on the heat mat and then bring them outside once they're showing their head. Some people suggest that you can keep them inside until they're a couple of inches. Some people think it's better to bring them outside straight away. I've not found a problem with having them outside, and I think they tolerate the cold very well, and I think they do very well from it personally. So varieties I'm sowing today include one called Up to Date from the Heritage Seed Library, one called Rheinsberger, then I've got Bedfordshire Champion, the only red one I'm growing, which is Red Baron, and then another one called Expedition, which is a larger variety. So all I've got here is the tray, which I've filled with the sieved compost, and this is just multi-purpose that I'm using here. And then I'm going to just make some ridges in the tray to sow 4 different varieties in here. I sow quite a few onions because I also sell seedlings. If I was just doing it for myself, then I would be looking at working out how many onions that we grow or we eat throughout a week, and then multiplying it and meeting that as best I could. So I've written out my labels, as you can see. I'm just going to pop that one in there, and then we'll start with our first row. So get some of these out. So there's not a huge amount in this packet. So as you can see, onions are little black seeds, and I'm probably going to put around 25 per row. I'm just going to put them along. There we go. And pop these seeds back in, because they'll be also growing some of those in some soil blocks. And then once I've done each individual row, all I'm going to do is pop the soil that I've moved out of the way back over them and pat them down. So next ones. Some of these are older seeds, so it is possible that some of these won't come up, and that's fine. I still like to give them a chance. There we go, that's what they look like. I will water these from the bottom in the house with water that is slightly warm to give them a little bit of a head start before they go on the heat mat. And I will also give this a little bit of a wash. As you can see, it's a little bit grubby, and then they'll go on the heat mat like that until they are up, and then they'll come outside. They'll stay in here for quite a while. Some people like to keep them in the original sown container, whereas other people like to individually set them out. One of the things that we will also do in the soil blocks is multi-sow. Next I'm going to do the Red Baron, which was the only one, so all the other ones went in were white, so these are the red onions. And I'm going to do these in a little pot rather than in a large tray. So I'm just going to fill the pot, give it a little bit of a tap down, pop my label in, and then rather than making, I've got another label there, rather than making drills, what I'm going to do is pop a little bit of compost on the top in a second. So probably roughly 30. I might actually just do what's left in there. Seeds going into this pot, so we're just gonna drizzle them around, and then we can top them up with the compost. So just a sprinkling, we don't want to cover them too much and make them too deep. That's one of the worst things we can do for a lot of seeds, is plant them too deep. It won't give them the opportunity to use up the energy to get out of the pot. And then that's what that one looks like. Once again, I water this one from the bottom, and because I don't have a lid to go on top of this one, I'll just use a little bit of a bag on top, and I'll share a picture of that along with this in a moment. If we multi-sow our onions, onions can be eaten at any point within their growing. So one of the things that we can do is harvest the smaller ones like spring onions, and then leave a clump of no more than 4 in the ground. So I'll show you how I do those into my soil blocks, but you could do those into trays like the Charles Dowding, or even larger ones. And if they were in these, I would put them up into a larger cell rather than leave them in there all the way until they go into the ground. But if they're in a larger one, then they may be absolutely fine within there. If they start to yellow in any way, then you would want to put them on. So these are my multi-sown onions, they will be. So for these, I'm going to put around 3 to 4 seeds per cell. And we'll see how many we got because I'm running out. 2, 3. That's good, those 2 rows fit beautifully. So that's the seeds in, and then on the soil blocks all you're going to do is pop a little bit of soil onto the top. If you were using a normal seed tray, you would just sprinkle a little bit of your sieved soil on top again, and they will be absolutely fine. We don't want them too deep, so I've used all of my seeds that I had available here. So some of them have got 3, some of them have got more like 5 or 7, and then all I'll do is thin them as we eat them and leave them with a clump of around 3 to 4 multi-sown onions. Multi-sown onions will give you a much smaller onion. So if you're trying to grow the largest onion, or one of the varieties which are for larger growing, like an expedition type, then you want to give them individual spacings and actually get them into individual pots as well to give them the best chance. We're only a family of 3, so it doesn't really serve us to have massive onions. Okay. As I don't have a tray to go over this, all I'll do is pop the entire tray in a plastic bag, and then that will go onto my heat mat. Although I put warm water into these are pretty cold already, and we should start to see them within a week hopefully, but we'll see how long it takes. And then that is what these look like, ready to go under the heat mat.